Hey, this is Notser, and we're talking about tiers 7, 8, 9, and 10 for the British destroyers. I absolutely love DDs, and I'm immediately thinking about how I want to play this DD with the stats I see. So, at tier 7, we've got Gervais. I love the British. I love their naming. The Gervais has 6 120mm guns at a firing range of 12.1. It's got the same shell, 1700. 2100 AP, 8% fire chance, so very high compared to something like the Americans or the Pan-Asians. And the reload is 5 seconds. Now, in my opinion, you're not really going to use that 12.1 kilometer all that well. Because of the velocity of the guns, coupled with the drag, British guns tend to be very floaty. So I'm going to assume 12.1 is your max, and it might even be like 13.2 or something like that with an upgrade, but you will never really reach that with these guns. That's not your goal. At the Torpedo Tubes, we've got 10 533mm torpedoes. They have a maximum range of 6 kilometers. Gosh, I hope there's an upgrade that is like 8 kilometers. Speed 59 knots. Reload time 120 seconds. Very long reload. You can choose to single fire these. Maximum speed 36 knots. Okay, that's not the slowest, but it's still pretty slow. Concealment is 7.2 kilometers, so it can get into a pretty good range. It's not going to be something like the what was it? It was the Z-39, and then I think the Gajah and one other ship that could conceal better than anything, and I think that's going to be the case here. But it's going to be right there. It's going to be very competitive with those ships. It won't be like 6.9 or 6.8 or 6.7 like some of the Americans and the Soviets. God, the Soviets are so bad, but everyone else. Germans, yeah. The rudder's fast. Turn radius is small. These are fairly short, compact ships, so they're going to feel really comfortable maneuvering around torpedoes, which will be a bonus. Damage control party, smoke generator. Again, the radius of the smoke is the unique trait. For slot 3, you can choose between engine boost and hydroacoustic search, and this hydroacoustic is not impressive either. 1.9 kilometer torpedo detection, 2.7 kilometer ship detection, but it lasts forever. So, I kind of see these guys as hunters. They want to use their guns, close proximity, and annihilate the target. If they can't succeed with their guns, they will have a very tough time. They don't want to engage at long range, and because of that, I don't really like the speed of the ship, because if it wants to engage, it's going to have a really tough time disengaging. If it's really close against other destroyer in the speed category, man, it's going to be tough. So I almost want to keep engine boost. I just don't really feel like hydroacoustic search at 1.9 kilometer torpedo detection is usable. It just seems way too situational. Now, we'll see if they upgrade it, but at tier 7, not impressed. Tier 8, we've got the Lightning. I like that name. Once again, 6 120mm guns, 12.2 kilometer firing range, very similar to everything. It has 9% fire chance, not 8. Pretty nice. You could buff it all the way up to 12%, which is pretty outstanding for a DD. The velocity of the shells drops considerably. Now, I don't know why it drops by about 25-30 meters per second. We'll have to see. Maybe it's because the torpedoes are usable now. Those torpedoes, 2x4, 533mm, 8 kilometer range, 61 knots, buff, 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 reload time, 96 seconds, buff again. That's pretty good. I'm curious to see the torpedo arc launch, though. I really am hesitant to say that these are viable torpedo boats, because it's just going to be, I just imagine a very narrow spread available. You can still do single launch, maximum speed 36 knots, ship detectability 7.0 kilometers base. It's tier 8. It can equip the concealment module. It can equip the concealment commander skill. It's going to be very stealthy. Damage control party, Smoke generator, once again, smoke, larger radius, and then engine boost for or hydroacoustic search. Now this hydroacoustic is 2.1 kilometer torpedo detection, 3.1 kilometer ship detection. So it's a little bit better. It seems like pretty much everything is a little bit better. Maybe the guns give up a little bit compared to the Tier 7, but the torpedoes are so much better that maybe that's irrelevant. So I think this will be less of a all-in gun system and more maybe a hybrid. It could definitely play the field, I think. I still don't know if I want to use hydroacoustic versus engine boost. It's a really tough decision because these guys will have high damage with their guns. These guns are just, every time they hit, they seem to do damage. So I think you want to chase people down, and if you want to chase people down, you need speed. And you're not going to have speed if you use hydroacoustic. So I want to try it. I'm on the fence. Let's go to Tier 9, which is the Jutland. And it has this kind of cool, like, the turrets are rounded off a little bit. The command tower is a little bit unique. Kind of like the design. It looks cool. Now, this has a very different gun system. It has 114 millimeters. A-hull has 5 114. The B-hull has 6. So clearly you would want the B-hull as soon as possible. And it has 1700 HE, 13.2 kilometer maximum firing range. The gun velocity goes down even more. It is a smaller caliber though, so I still think it's just going to be floating. I think it's going to be incredibly floaty, and that's an issue. You're just not really going to effectively hit at near your maximum gun range unless it's against maybe a battleship. Torpedo tubes are cool. We've got 10 kilometer torpedo tubes, and we have 10 of them. So that's awesome. The reload goes up to 120 seconds, so the 96-second reload is back to 120, but you get 2 extra torpedoes and 2 kilometer range. And the speed goes up 1 knot. I don't know that it's worth all of that, but I'll take the range. The maximum speed of the ship, though, drops to 34 knots. Concealment, 7.0 kilometers, so it can be very stealthy ship. And the reload is 3.5 seconds on the gun. I forgot to mention that. 3.5 seconds. Very fast rearm guns. Now, 114 millimeters is an issue. Could be an issue. It allows you to penetrate 19 millimeters of armor, which is the absolute maximum armor value of any ship in their superstructure. Having said all that, people are considering using inertia fuse high explosive on this, and I'm going to be saying no. The reason I don't think you take it is the thresholds that you're going to cross are not that frequent. You're going from 19 to I think 25, 26. I don't know that these guys are going to openly fire that much on cruisers. They're going to be maneuvering, and you definitely don't want to be close to them. Think about it. It's really great concealment, but the shells are really floaty. So you're probably going to be closer to your targets. You're going to be hunting DDs. If you get a chance to fire on targets, you're going to be hoping that it's a slow, sluggish target. Cruisers are not. You don't want to be that close because we are in a radar meta. So I kind of feel like inertia fuse high explosive will not be the best skill for the Brits. That is assuming that you're firing on a lot of cruisers. And you're focusing on sections like the bow and the stern and stuff like that. I don't really think you're going to be doing that. I think it's more likely that you will focus predominantly on DDs, which when these guys come out, the armor chain should exist. And even if it doesn't exist, you can still damage everyone. Other than, obviously, the Komodos 50mm and stuff like that. But 4 points for inertia fuse high explosive, and it's only going to increase your damage towards a handful of cruisers, maybe, and specific locations on the cruiser, by the way. I think you're going to get more value out of something like radio location. So I just don't think that 114 millimeters, I don't think it's in your best interest to invest in it based on the playstyle that I'm envisioning these guys. But it's got, you know, everything that you expect: damage control, smoke generator, the larger radius smoke, engine boost versus hydroacoustic. We're getting up to 2.4 kilometers on the torpedo detection range and 3.5 kilometers on the ship detection range. It lasts forever. I definitely am going to try it, but I really feel like speed boost is going to be necessary. These ships are just not fast enough, and they need to be fast in order to fulfill that anti-DD role and also run away from something that's really, really bad. Like, this ship is basically the same speed as a lot of cruisers. You don't want to be the same speed as a cruiser, especially these radar cruisers that are everywhere. And let's get to the tier 10, which is the Daring. Goes well with the gearing. It is also 114 millimeter guns. 13.8 kilometers, although I don't know how usable 13.8 kilometers is actually going to be. The rate of fire is insane, 2.5 seconds. Same sort of shell that you're used to, very floaty. The torpedo tubes are the same from the previous. It's 120 second reload on them. It's 10 533 millimeter, 10 kilometer range. So it's okay. They're there. Don't know how usable they're actually going to be. The reload is just really long. And it seems to be that they want them to exist, but they don't want them to actually be a part of your normal playstyle. So we'll see. It's sort of like worst case, in my opinion, that maybe the torpedo angles are going to be bad too. I really need to see that. But obviously, these guns are well positioned to have very good arcs. The maximum speed is 35 knots. Turn radius is, small, very maneuverable. Rudder shift, not that impressive, honestly. I think you'll have to pick up the rudder shift mod. Not the one that replaces concealment, but the other. I just think that 4.6 is really difficult to use. Like, it's really sluggish. It deals very poorly with torpedoes and smoke. 7.0 kilometer detectability. 5.5 is the minimum concealment that this ship can get down to, as is the tier 9 and I think the tier 8. Very concealed. But in a world of radar, how concealed is that really? Do you really want to get 6 kilometers away from that Cleveland or that Des Moines? No, of course not. So we're going to see how usable that is. Damage control, smoke generator, 600 millimeter smoke generator, engine boost versus hydroacoustic, 2.6 kilometer, 3.9. I still don't like hydroacoustic because I just feel like the ship is too slow. Soviet DDs are just going to chew you up. They're going to come after you, and you can't run away. If they smell blood in the water, if you have less health in them, they are going to just chomp at it. But you will absolutely wreck every DD that you run into if you have equal health or, the situation's fair. You're going to be doing so much fire against battleships at near max range. It's going to be pretty scary. I'm curious to see what makes the game and what doesn't. Obviously, this is a first look, just giving my thoughts. I know inertia fuse high explosive. Listen, I'm the guy, right? It feels good, right? I just don't think the value's there. You will be able to do damage with your HE against pretty much every single DD and every single point of armor on the DD. This is really only for clearing some of the thresholds against cruisers, and you're not going to hit cruisers. And you're certainly not going to be close enough to cruisers where you will consistently hit them that much. It's just a lot of points to spend on a very narrow benefit. So, that's my thoughts. Hope you enjoyed them. Hope that you're as excited as I am to just try them and see them in game. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.